Thank you for coming on my show, John. And can you tell a little bit about yourself to the audience?
Yeah, well, I've been a professional actor for almost 20 years now. Um, I was a musician before that, and I don't know, I was doing the band thing and touring, and I was kind of falling out of love with that as I kind of accidentally fell into the world of independent filmmaking, and I got wrapped up in that. It just kind of swept up my life, and that's what I do now.
Of course, you're a very advocate speaker for autism,
Yes,
and
yeah. My 8-year-old son is on the spectrum, and that's been a pretty powerful journey to experience, and just to be an advocate for my son and to try to educate the world and make it a little bit more accepting for him, so that as he grows into it, hopefully will be a little easier.
mhm. What can you tell the world about autism?
That's such a big subject.
I mean,
um,
briefly, I know I mean, if you want to go more in details, you may, but I feel like that the reason I'm asking you is because the reason I'm asking is I feel like the world needs to understand more about it, and I feel like that most of society in the world don't understand it, and they wish they could learn more about it, and since I have you as an advocate speaker about it, I thought you if you feel comfortable, I thought you would like to give
no, I'm happy to talk about it.
a little,
Absolutely. No,
you can talk a little detail about it, and so on.
it's a very broad spectrum, and it's very individualized, and no two autistics are the same. But it's really what it is. It's just it's a different wiring of the nervous system, where the brain receives information from the senses differently than a neurotypical person. So the senses of sight and sound and taste, these all hit different, and certain sounds can be painful, or certain textures can be super irritating, and just the brain receives information differently, so it processes information differently. And that also means, because they're receiving information differently, they learn differently than we do. So they might learn at a different pace, or they learn through different modes than we do. So it's very, very individualized, and it can manifest itself in ways that seem very strange to neurotypicals. So behaviors can seem really strange due to their avoidance of certain senses, or just their reactions to certain things, and such a like the stimming, which is like behavior patterns that are very kind of it's a way that, like my son, for instance, he's big on a lot of finger gestures and hand flapping and these kind of. But what this is it's a physical sensory thing that he does that helps him be aware of himself and where he is, and it kind of grounds him, and it can calm him when he's in situations where certain sensory inputs can overwhelm him. So it's just so you may see someone out in public just doing very kind of strange behavioral things, or rocking and humming, and these sort of tics, but really it's just a way of kind of dealing with the information that's coming in. It's My son, for example, becomes very overwhelmed very, very easily through a lot of sensory inputs. So things like amusement parks and stuff like that, all the sights and sounds and smells, and all these sensations, he can't filter those the way we can. Say if we're in a crowded room and there's 100 people talking, but you and I are having a conversation, we have no problem tuning everyone else out and just speaking one on one.
Mhm.
But my son, for example, he can't filter that the way that we can. So it's just this bombardment of information, and it can be very overwhelming and scary. So it can lead to sensory meltdowns and breakdowns, and it can be a really scary thing, especially for a kid. Sometimes he'll have behavioral breakdowns where we may look like he's throwing some kind of, if you're an on buyer or just a passerby,
Hmm.
it may look like he's, a kid just throwing a temper tantrum over whatever, but it can really just be as simple as a certain sensation triggered something in him that may even be physically painful or terrifying, and it just causes him to kind of shrink into himself. So it's a really complex thing, and I'm myself. It's still every day is a journey of learning and further understanding, and just always trying to connect with my son and figure him out and figure how he's existing in this world in his own way. And it's a lonely thing for him, I think, too. I think for a lot of autistics, because it is so isolating. It is a very individualized thing because you're living in a world that's programmed for a different neurological makeup.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, it's a journey of understanding um, for him.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and it's very important for a lot of people, especially as a parent, for you to talk about it. Um, and
Thank you, Jared, for allowing me the opportunity to talk about it.
you're very welcome. And I bet, I shouldn't say I bet, but I bet, at the very beginning, you didn't know how to handle it. If that's a good
No,
that's a
not
good
at
answer
all.
to
Yeah,
ask
I
you.
mean, I went in blind, and his mother as well, and his grandmother, yeah, and my daughter, his sister. It was such a scary diagnosis. What does it mean to be autistic? What does that mean for his future? What is
Hmm.
um, there's no way to really predict the outcome of it as far as his
Right.
potential in certain aspects, but.
Hmm.
He's a joy, and I have learned more about humanity and empathy and communication in his 8 years of life than I have all the years that I spent
Right.
prior. So he's taught me far more than I've been able to teach him. He won't understand this for a very long time, but he is very much my hero in so
Hmm.
many ways.
Well, that's amazing, and it brings the family together, your daughter and and grandma and everybody together to
Absolutely.
understand. And I totally understand because very beginning it's scary. You didn't, you don't understand what's going on, and you didn't, in autism but I'm glad you're talking about it. I'm glad you're advocating it and to the world and especially entertainment industry to let people know that there might be somebody out there that let them know they're not alone. So I do appreciate you talking
No,
about
thank
that.
you.
Exciting news. I'm sorry about other than that, but you do fitness. You're a fitness advocate as well.
Yeah, well, I try to be as much as I can
And
be.
as the one thing I noticed, you like to work out. And of course you're an actor, you're a fitness, and of course you know, your autism awareness as well.
Yeah. Well,
Your story.
the fitness thing kind of, I mean, it has to kind of come with the job, really. I would love to be able to not work as hard, but when
Right.
I've kind of landed myself into this, I don't know, I'm doing a lot of action movies these days, so there's an expectation that comes along with being, action star, and so I've got to, I can't let it slip,
Right.
or the work may slip. So I do the best I can with what I have, with the time I have, and whatever limitations I carry.
Right. Now, and now your acting career, you started in 2006. Um, if you can correct me, but you were in the Arena War. That was in 2024. You played Luke Bender, but of course, I gotta mention you are with some couple big actors as well. You talked a lot. Eric Roberts, Robert the Sadero, Michael Madison. The list goes on. And it's about criminals going to this competition. I'm not going to expose the story if nobody has seen the movies, so I can't go in too much in details. But how was it working with Eric Roberts and Michael Robert Losad, my language, sorry,
Really?
Losado, and
Michael,
of
right?
course
Robert.
Michael Madison. These are top three, actors that a lot of people know. What was it like, and what was let's go in details.
They're all great guys. Eric Roberts, I've done like 4 movies with Eric now. He's a super nice guy. He's a lot of fun to work with. He's a lot of fun to have on set. Robert Lasardo is a very intense actor. He's a powerful presence on screen. He's really he elevates every scene that he's in. Michael Madsen, of course, is he's Tarantino fame. He's a powerhouse and just with an incredible body of work behind him. So it's a pleasure to work with such caliber actors. And this was a particularly fun project. It was a blast to shoot. It was a fun script. It's just a really fun concept. It's a great kind of throwback to the like late '80s, early '90s kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of action sci-fi type stuff like The Running Man and
Right.
RoboCop, Total Recall. It's all kind of in that kind of vein of like the Schwarzenegger era action movies, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it was just a lot of fun. It's a great
And,
cast, it's a great crew.
and where can people watch this film?
It's out like everywhere. I mean, Amazon Prime, Apple TV. It's Vudu. All your major streaming networks are carrying it at this point.
And you said this is your fourth time working with Eric Roberts?
Yeah, we've done a few together. Yeah, I did a boxing movie with him called The
Hmm.
Tasmanian Devil. He was in what else did we do? Devil's Night, which is a medieval fantasy, like a dark fantasy. We did a couple years ago. So yeah, he gets around. That guy is working more than probably any other actor alive. So
It's absolutely amazing you got to work with those three. And of course you were in Grief Share. Of course, it's 2024, and you were played Mr. Robert, and then of course Daniel Roebuck was Mr. King, another actor as well. And how was it being on set with him?
I didn't get to work with
Oh, okay, I'm
Daniel, but
sorry.
no, that's okay. But no, we were on different days, but it was a great production. The guys, the director and the production team on that one are really good friends of mine, and we're actually doing another feature early next year, and Daniel Roebuck is in that as well. We'll be working together pretty intimately on that one, so I'm looking forward to that. I've heard great things about him. It's a great script, and it's actually that particular script. I'm playing the lead in that, and it is actually about a father with his autistic son. So it's very near and dear to my heart. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be able to be in a film like this, telling a story like this that runs such a close parallel to my own journey. So I'm especially excited about that movie.
Amazing. And I have to ask, where was Arena Wars filmed at? Was it filmed in in LA area or Arizona or
Las
Albuquerque?
Vegas. We shot that in Las Vegas. There's a soundstage in Las Vegas where we shot all the in arena stuff, and then we shot a bunch of stuff at the esports arena in the
Hmm.
Luxor. We had amazing locations on that. It was really cool spots.
Amazing, amazing. Now I have to go back to that and go further back in your history. But in 2016, you were in the TV series Legend and Lies, and and a long time ago. And you can correct me. I believe you won a award of that. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but how was it playing those roles back in those days? And I
That
saw
was
you wearing uniform. You didn't have beard back then. I'm sorry, but
no, yeah. That was
um,
yeah. Of course, I
how
had the
was
long
it
hair
being,
for most roles.
right, the curly hair and all that
Yeah.
stuff, being on set and giving those speeches about based on the true stories and all that.
That was a big one for me, and I originally when they were trying to cast me, they were trying to get me in as Paul Revere, which was a bigger part than what I wanted. It was more episodes, but I wanted the Patrick Henry role because I wanted that speech. I wanted the liberty or death speech. To me, that was just that's such a big moment, such an iconic moment in American history. So I kind of lobbied for that a little bit, and I ended up getting the Patrick Henry role. So I was blessed with the opportunity to be able to deliver that amazing speech. And, I remember I was traveling to I'm in Kentucky, and we
Hmm.
shot that in Virginia where the speech was delivered. And the whole time I'm traveling, it was like God, that the page count on that speech is crazy. It's like I think it's almost 5 full pages, and it's not easy dialogue. It's not they don't didn't speak in the same kind of cadences and patterns and verbiage that we do now. So it was very, very tricky to memorize. But I just ran it over and over, and I was so nervous about getting it right because it is such an iconic speech and it's such an important speech. And showed up on set, and they had allotted, I think, 5 hours to shoot out the speech.
Wow.
They had a 5 camera setup, and action, ran through the whole thing. I didn't stumble once. Director came out, so that was great. Let's try a couple different ways, and I did it 2 more times. We ended up wrapping the whole thing in like 40 minutes, and
Can
I was
you,
kind of
if you mind me asking, can you still do the speech now?
absolutely not.
No.
not, not at all. And actually, I memorized the whole thing, the whole 5 pages, and they cut it down to like 60 seconds of the show. But that
You
was
don't have
kind
it
of
memorized.
no, no. That's I never. I memorize. I'm actually it's something I'm actually kind of good at. I can memorize dialogue very, very quickly,
Hmm.
but once I've used it, I don't retain it. I'm on to the next. So I just kind of wring out that sponge, and I'm ready to absorb what's
Hmm.
next.
Wow, but you did really good on
Thanks. Thank you
it.
very much.
What attracted you to get into acting?
Um, I was a very, very introverted kid, very kind of uncomfortable in my own skin, and I was drawn to escapism. Um, all the other kids would all be out, kind of playing in groups and in the parks and stuff. I was at home in my bedroom by myself, reading comic books and drawing pictures and watching movies and just living in kind of a fantasy world, and that's really, I mean, what acting is. It's just like the ultimate escapism. That's to
Hmm.
me very exciting. Is the ability to kind of explore other other worlds and other paths, and you get to walk other people's journeys, and it's just to me it's just it's a thrill. I mean, I'm just me, but I can go to work and be something vastly more exciting. That's
Hmm.
it's just the cool thing. It's just a lot of fun.
That's
It's play.
amazing. Did
It's
you
just
ever
play. I get to go play.
did you ever saw yourself being an actor?
When I was young, it was something I wanted to do so much, but I didn't have. I don't think I had the courage or the confidence to think about pursuing it. And also, I grew up in Kentucky, which is, I mean, thinking about wanting to be an actor growing up in Kentucky is like wanting to be an astronaut. It just seems like such a far fetched thing.
Hmm.
Um, so that's I did the musician thing because it's easy to start a band and get some music, some guys together in a garage, some instruments, just play music. But I was always drawn to film. I was always such a movie geek, and I loved filmmaking, and I loved watching the behind the scenes stuff of how it comes together. And I was always just so fascinated by it. So that was always such a big passion and kind of more than a hobby, really. I mean, it was really kind of a very, very strong interest. But I was in my 20s when I was actually kind of pulled into it. I was approached by some indie filmmakers, and they had asked me to come do a screen test. I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. I showed up, they had a green screen, they had a sword and screening stuff, British accent. It was amazing. And I just fell in love.
Hmm. That's amazing. It's actually, I love hearing all these actors how they get into the entertainment industry, and everybody has different story backgrounds, and it's so amazing for me to hear that. Thank you for sharing. Do you have any upcoming projects that you can talk about?
Yeah. Well, I'm working on a really fun, intense movie right now. I'm going back and forth on it in Atlanta called Devour,
Hmm.
which it's a horror, action, fantasy, comedy genre bender. It's just this wild kind of acid trip of it's about an all female heavy metal band who happen to be vampires who are on tour, and they find themselves trapped in this small town that's taken over by a cannibalistic cult that's run by a warlock. And it sounds completely bonkers and off the rails because it is, but it's so well done and it's so fun and uh, it's the Digital Thunderdome is the production company doing it, and they're raising the bar so high for what they're doing with the budget for an independent movie like this. It's just they're really doing some cool stuff, and I think they're making something really fun, really special. So that's I'm working on that currently, and then in late August, I go to LA to work on the guys that did Arena Wars, the same director, same producer, same cinematographer. We're doing a outer space adventure action epic.
Oh wow,
Um,
that's amazing.
yeah, I'm really excited about that one. That's going to be a blast.
And also, you're a producer, am I correct?
I have produced a couple shorts, but I would
Okay, okay.
not enough that I feel confident labeling myself as a producer.
Well, the reason I
Nor would I want to. I don't enjoy that aspect of
Oh, okay. Well,
filmmaking.
the reason I about that up because I thought you're producing these two films that you mentioned.
No. I'm a hired puppet, man. I just they call me up, they throw me a
Mhm.
script, say these words, and I show up and I say the words they tell me to say. That's all I do.
So you're more an actor. You don't like to produce. You just don't like to at all.
Yeah, I'm all actor.
Hmm.
I know my skill sets and I know my weaknesses, and I'm far better off just give me a script, tell me what to do, and I'll do it for you.
Right. Get in there and just say the lines, and that's it. Right.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. I wish I could take credit, but I mean, really, all the credit goes to. I mean, it's a crew of people that makes me look good. You know, it's
Hmm.
the words are written by the writer, the lighting that makes me look cool on screen are done by talented, grips and gaffers and cinematographers, and I'm just there in the middle of it.
Right. You're just there in the middle of it.
I'm just one little instrument in a big symphony.
Hmm. That's true. And I have to ask is that do you hope maybe hope or do you want your kids, your daughter to and your son as well, but do you want your kids to be in a film with you as well?
I think it could be a lot of fun. My daughter loves movies, probably even more than I do. She's a total cinephile. She could tell you who won what Oscar, what
Hmm.
year. I mean, she's a bastion of cinema knowledge. So she loves movies, and she's an actress herself. But she does mostly theater. You know, she's just musical theater. Um, I have she's been in a couple short films with me where she's just kind of there, I mean, on screen, not really lines or anything like that. Um, but yeah, I think it could be something that could be. It would have to be. It would really have to be the right project, though.
Right.
And the acting is, especially film acting, can be such a dark and cruel industry,
Hmm.
and I'm very protective of my children. So
Right. I totally
it
understand.
would really have to be the right circumstances.
Hmm. I bet they're so excited when they see some films that you let them watch that you're in it, and they're like, "Whoa, that's my dad! What's so cool?" Or you know,
My daughter is my harshest critic.
I bet Your daughter's an actress, so I bet she's like watching you and she's like, yeah, Dad, you could do a little better, or well, that's so cool, or well, I
I,
can give
I
you a
think I,
B plus rating. You have those kids, right?
I think she thinks
They're
it's
like,
cooler than she likes to admit. She's a teenager, so she's got to give her dad a hard time.
right, right. That's what I'm saying. They're like, oh, you could get the Oscar, or or something like that. I just have to say that there's some kids that are just so they're like, look at the parents, and you're like, wow, okay, yeah, you could have done better, or they're like, oh, that was horrible. You think what? You
But she's fun though. My daughter's awesome. My
Right,
son is not. He's not quite so tuned into that sort of stuff.
right.
But he knows what I do, and I think he thinks it's
Hmm.
kind of. But he doesn't. I don't think he cares that much. My
No,
daughter has a lot of fun with
right.
stuff.
I totally understand. Back to your autism because it's getting to my brain again.
Mhm.
A lot. This is my question as well, and a lot of people, and this is me asking this question is that I'm curious as well, and you can correct me. Is that I've heard that autism that they're smarter. Please don't be offended if I'm saying this, but they're
You know, I
smarter
understand.
than normal people. And is that correct?
I don't know that. There are some instances, and there are some cases where the that may very well be the case. I think it's more just a difference. I
Hmm.
don't think it's really a more or a less. I think it's a different way of thinking, and so sometimes it manifests itself in the ability to solve incredibly intricate and complicated mathematical equations, or being able to draw a cityscape by memory. And
Right, right.
these certain skills may kind of present themselves while there may be lacking in other areas. So, but I don't think it's very accurate to say that every autistic person has some type of
Hmm. Hmm.
superpower or super skill. I think that's a pretty um, small percentage that you see. I mean, I know you see on social media a lot, and the memes and the videos of these autistic people doing these amazing things, and it's inspiring, and it's incredible. But I think it can also kind of create sort of a
Right.
false expectation, because I think most are just struggling to kind of fit in and find a place in the world. And that's it can be a very difficult hurdle,
Hmm. Hmm.
socially, um, academically. It can be very difficult. My son is, he's cognitively as intelligent as any other 8-year-old kid, but developmentally he's quite a bit behind, because he has so many hurdles in
Hmm.
his learning that prevent him from learning as easily or as quickly as a lot of kids his age would. So yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would say that it's a
Right.
more or less. It's really just a difference.
Well, thank you. I like I said, I didn't want to make you upset. I was
No,
just.
no, there's no offense at all. That's I like having these conversations, because it allows for moments like this of
Mhm.
hopefully clarity and understanding.
I do appreciate that because for myself, I like to learn as well, and I do appreciate that you're speaking out about
So
it.
I appreciate you very much asking, and again allowing me the opportunity to speak about it.
You're very welcome. And, also, I heard, autism, they, not all of them, like you said, but they get mad easily. Is that correct?
It's more of a frustration,
Okay.
and that's that kind of volatility of the meltdown, like I talked about earlier, and it's not. And it's again, it just I think it comes from a frustration of trying to live in a world that doesn't, I mean, society expects you to communicate a certain way and to
Right.
behave a certain way, when they're biologically, their nervous system is just not set up to function that way.
Hmm.
So like my son's fidgeting. all this stuff that calms him. And it can look weird when he's slapping his hands and flapping his hands in
Right.
public. And certainly what's what you need to stop that. You're attracting attention. But that to him that would be very it would be very upsetting because that's what keeps him grounded. And without that, he could go to an anxiety attack very easily. Another thing is eye contact. That's been a big thing. Is my son does not do well with eye contact, and and his grandfather for a long time was he was always, got to look me in the eye when I'm talking to you. Look me in the eye when I'm talking to you, and you can't do that with him because it's eye contact is so intense for him. It's very difficult for him. I mean, he can look away and he will hear you and he will understand you. If you make him look you in the eye, he is so terrified by the intensity of that connection that he's not going to be able to listen to you. He's not going to be able to focus. So it's just these differences. And there's so many, and they're all so individualized and different from person to person. It's and I'm still, we're still learning ourselves and feeling it out as we go.
I do appreciate you talking about that as well. Is your wife also a speaker as well, or just you?
Well, it's my ex-wife, his mother, but
Oh, I'm
we
sorry.
still have no, you're fine, and we have a very strong co-parenting relationship. We're on great terms, and we put our children first. Absolutely. Um, she's not as she's not in the entertainment industry. She doesn't have the I guess the voice that I'm able to present on social media and stuff like that. But she's very involved in his life and learning as much as she can about autism and doing everything she can to improve upon his life.
Hmm. Well, I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were.
Oh no
Uh,
no no no. Why would you know? You're totally fine.
right. Thank you. Also, eating their foods, are they particular as well?
Extremely, yeah. No, he has a lot of food avoidances, and that's honestly one of the toughest things we've had with him is just trying to open him up to other foods because he's such a strictly limited diet to what he's willing to eat, and his avoidances of certain textures, and he's just so extremely, and I mean extremely picky of what he's willing to eat. So just that battle to sort of get him to be willing to sort of attempt other foods. It's that's a battle we're still. He's in lots of different therapies, and feeding therapy is one of the ones he does
Hmm.
weekly, and it's been helpful, but it's something that we're going to be doing long term. That'll be a struggle for probably a lot of his life.
Right. Wow. You're teaching me so much. And I mean it. Because I've seen autism in public, and um, and I shouldn't be saying this. I never understood it, but now I understand it more because you're talking to about it and you're telling me about it, and I appreciate it so much that you're you're telling the audience more about autism, and I appreciate you to I appreciate your spreading awareness about it.
Thank you. No, again, I appreciate the opportunity, and I can't stress enough that it's so very individualized as well. What is my son's story and the specifics of what he deals with is going to be so radically different to what
Hmm.
another child and their parents or an adult
Right.
autistic may be dealing with. It's there's no single description or kind of one size fits all. It's such a broad, uh, vast array of individual traits and difficulties and struggles and triumphs as well.
Hmm.
It's very individualized.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. I would just love to have you back one day to talk about only about autism. So I mean it. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'd love to have you back. just talk just about it.
I'm so glad that you were willing to. I mean, usually I do these things and everybody just wants to talk about the movie stuff. So I really appreciate the voice.
Yes, you're very welcome. And I think everyone needs to be aware about it. Everyone needs to know about autism. You know, like myself, I'm a big mental health illness advocate. I
That's
speak on
wonderful.
it.
Good.
Depression's real.
Absolutely.
I'm a suicide prevention, person. I've lost three friends to suicide, and so I
Mm,
totally, we have to talk about mental health. It's very important.
I agree 100%.
That's what I'm saying. As myself, who has depression, I'm not afraid to talk about it, and so and it's very important that we mention this stuff and we talk about things like this so we can show everyone out there that they're not alone, and there is help, there's advocates, there's family members who are going through things, right? And that's what we, and we tell stories, right, as actors, but we're also telling what's going on in their personal life and their family members and what's going on, and we're that's how we're telling people around the world their story, their stories, but also our stories. And we hope to change them to understand, to view autism, to view mental illness different, to view what is going on in everybody's life, because we don't know what's going on in everybody's lives, right? Until we know mental illness and why, and and what's happening in their lives is it's very important to we discuss this.
I'm so glad that you do. I think it's a wonderful thing. It's an important thing to create dialogues about these subjects and just get people talking about it and get people opening up. And I don't think, uh, yeah, I think it's great that you do that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I would love to have you back again and only discuss about autism. I'm serious. I would love to have you back, and I said it twice, but have you talk about autism. I'm serious, and I would love to spread awareness about it. I feel like, in my personal opinion, that we are not talking much about it.
Mm.
And also we are not talking about mental health enough as well. And I believe that we, my show and as you and everybody else, we need to make films. We need to make TV shows. We need to discuss it. There's nothing a shame talking about autism or mental
Mm.
health, about depression or anxiety or any of this in a society, because people are at home who are
You
not.
know, I think you really hit on something there with it's that kind of fear of ridicule or judgment that I think so many people kind of keep everything kind of shelved or in their pocket,
Yes,
and
yes, and
it's
they're
such a
afraid
shame.
to they're
It just
they're
I
afraid to
think
talk about it because we as society don't talk about it,
mm,
right? And you answer the question. You not answer the question, but you answered it. You talked about it. They have a fear to say things to your friends or to parents. They're like, "Oh, can I say this to my parents?" Or and then for you, for example, it's not an example, but for you, who is talking about autism, you have future parents who may be going through similar situation with their autism children, and they're like, wow, John is talking about it. Yes, you're right. Your child, your son is going to be different than theirs, but you're talking about it, and they're going to go home and okay, and sit down and say, okay, this is what we can do to change, thanks to John being an advocate and showing what we can do to our family lives.
no, I hope so.
I I know you say you hope so, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. That's what we do is we talk about things, right? And that's where change comes. And if we don't talk about it, then there is no change. But it goes by one person, the next person, the next family, the next family, the next family, and you don't know how many I say you, John, but you don't know how many families you could impact, and they could just
Cheers to
hurt.
that.
And you meet one of them, and you know, they're gonna say, "Wow, John, you have impacted my life because you're speaking out about this." So I just
That's a
want to
nice
let you
thought.
know.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on my show. I appreciate you. And thank you for doing everything what you're doing. Your autism advocate, your acting career, your IMDb goes so many. But um Joanna mentioned me about you,
Hmm.
and she told me I should reach out, have you on my show. And I'm so happy I had you on my show, and
Well,
I
that's
would
very
love
kind of
to
her. I'm glad you did as well.
have you back. Only talk about autism.
Yeah, I'm sure we can make that happen.
Yes, let's definitely make that happen. Thank you again for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. You have a good day.
You as well.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.